Shalom. I like to give all praises, glory, and honors to Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua, Ba'Shem Rakah Kodash. I like to give double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone who rule well. Peace, salutations, and blessings to the elect who firmly believe on Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua. Now, the title of this lesson is going to be The Love of Many Shall Wax Cold. The love of many shall wax cold. And, this is a article that just came out from USA Today, about 3 hours ago. It's now, 12:22 p.m. Eastern time. And the title of this article is, It's Anyone's Guess What Happens Next. Democrats shoot down Trump's plan to end shutdown. And as we all been saying, Nancy Pelosi and Donald Trump are on the same team. They're on the same team. It's an example of pressure from above, pressure from below. They're playing both sides. They're at odds with one another. Just to control the masses of the people and to essentially, bring more fear upon the people, because you bring fear upon the people by taking away certain comfortabilities or certain essentials, and that's what this government shutdown is actually doing. So it's nothing but a game. It's nothing but a game. And the men of the Lord, they've been out there sighing and crying for the abominations that be done in the midst thereof. And we just watching, we watching with our popcorn, because we waiting to see what happens next. Hopefully, these are the beginning of sorrows, because we're looking forward to get the hell out of here, So let me just read some of this article, right? It says President Donald Trump's offer to extend protections for some young immigrants in exchange for border wall funding and possibly bring an end to the partial government shutdown was immediately shot down by congressional Democrats who called the proposal inadequate and predicted it wouldn't pass either the House or the Senate. All right, so here it is. Donald Trump is over here attempting to negotiate, protections for some young immigrants. So he's offering to protect some young immigrants, as far as this wall is concerned. But he just wants funding in exchange of it. The Democrats shut it down because they're the ones particularly hurting, by this government shutdown. It's even before Trump officially made his speech and put protections for young immigrants in the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals program on the bargaining table, Democrats denounced the offer, saying it wasn't enough to end the historic 28-day shutdown. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi called Trump's proposal unacceptable and said it was a non-starter that wouldn't pass in Congress. She said the offer did not represent a good faith effort to restore certainty to people's lives, especially since the president's proposal only offered temporary solutions for dreamers, undocumented immigrants brought to the country before their 18th birthday. And Donald Trump is low-key a comedian, man. It says it is unlikely that any one of these provisions alone would pass the House, and taken together, they are a non-starter, Pelosi said. Trump responded to Pelosi and criticism from other Democrats Sunday morning, tweeting that Democrats are blinded by the 2020 election and should do the right thing for the country and allow people to go back to work. Let's read this tweet. Nancy Pelosi and some of the Democrats turned down my offer yesterday before I even got up to speak. They don't see crime and drugs. They only see 2020, which they are not going to win. Best economy. So he's saying that the economy has been the best ever since he's been president. And it's true, because why? America is nothing but a corporation. It's a business. And what is Donald Trump? A businessman. So it goes hand in hand. He's provided, there's been more jobs ever since he's been in the office and things of that nature. But then again, here it is, he's promoting the government shutdown. So everything balances and cancels itself out, Still pressure. It's still pressure being upon the people. Here it is, you had people at the bottom of the totem pole that didn't have much jobs or job opportunities. But now that he's in his office, you got people that were higher on a totem pole, so to speak, as far as working on the government. Now they're without a job, but the people on the bottom have a job, right? And that's one thing. When you prevent people from actually working for money, because money is a defense, that's what's going to turn the heart of the people cold. People are going to have to start doing what they need to do, to put food on the table, to put food on the table. It says Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer dismissed Trump's offer Saturday as not a compromise, but more hostage taking. It's clear the president realizes that by closing the government and hurting so many American workers and their families, he has put himself and the country in an untenable position. And trust and believe he was well aware of this happening, and this ultimately is coming from the Heavenly Father, Yahweh Bashem Yahushua, all of this pressure because we're in the end times. It says, unfortunately, he keeps putting forward one-sided and ineffective remedies. There's only way out. Open up the government, Mr. President, and then the Democrats and Republicans can have a civil discussion and come up with bipartisan solutions. It says Senator Dick Durbin, one of the co-sponsors of the Bridge Act legislation that extends protections to Dreamers for 3 years, said he wasn't ready to support the measure and cast doubt over whether Republicans would agree to such terms. I'm going to read a little bit more. It says, first, President Trump and Senate Majority Leader McConnell must open the government today, said Durbin, whatever that is. Second, I cannot support the proposed offer as reported and do not believe it can pass the Senate. Third, I am ready to sit down at any time after the government is open and work to resolve all outstanding issues. Right? It says other Democrats echoed Durbin's thoughts and added the House would not pass a bill that includes $5.7 billion in wasteful spending for a border wall. So this is all the spirit, man. This is all the spirit. The Lord is, tightening the clutches on the society. And this is part of the prophecies that Yahweh said would happen in the last days. And it says, this is Matthew chapter 24, verse 12. And it says, and because iniquity shall abound, that government shutdown is a form of iniquity, and it's abounding as we see it before our eyes. The love of many shall wax cold. So now you got these people that's out of a job. Once you're out of a job, you're out of funds. So what's that going to cause people to do? Rob, steal, and kill for their necessities and essentials. So what? The majority of the people is going to wax cold. The heart of the people is going to wax cold. Reality is going to set in. And it's actually situations that we've been discussing. That is that's going to happen upon this society. It's prophecy. It's prophecy. The Lord said these things will happen, and we are in a time now to where these things are happening. The love of many waxing cold is going to be a lot of breaking and entering. It's going to be a lot of rape involved. And that's also part of the prophecy. You got individuals out there that's going to be ganging up, raping these women. It's a trickle effect. It's a trickle effect. It's a ripple effect. This is Zechariah chapter 14, verse 1. It says, behold, the day of Yahweh cometh, and thy spoil shall be divided in the midst of thee. So this is all in representation of the day of the Lord coming. It says, for I will gather all nations against Jerusalem to battle, and the city shall be taken, and the houses rifled. What's that? And they said this government shutdown is going to lead to a state of emergency, to where they're going to have to bring military troopers out, So the city is going to be taken pretty much under what? Martial law. We just got to wait and see what actually happens and how they, place their pawns in place. It says, and the house is rifled, meaning what? Your house is going to be torn up and broken into. And the women ravished. So in the midst of them breaking into your houses, taking whatever's necessary, hey, if there's a pretty woman within that household, guess what? They're going to get ravished. They're going to get raped. And that's the harsh realities that's coming to the society. And it says, and half of the city shall go forth into captivity, and the residue of the people shall be cut off from the city. So you're going to have a lot of people in concentration camps, and they're going to have a lot of people that's being put to death. That's what's coming. That's the ripple effect of a government shutdown. One thing is going to lead to another. And the fact that now you got a lot of people that's actually losing, their houses, or not houses, but their apartments, because they're not working. They're not working. So what? Now that the fact that they're not working, their heart is and that's just human nature. Their heart turns to get cold because their comfortability is taken. Now they're going to look elsewhere to seek for that comfortability. Whether it be, rob, stealing, and killing for it. That's just what's going to happen. And then the brothers was bringing out, yesterday, as far as, the food stamps. Here it is. They recently gave you in New York and New Jersey. They gave you February's food stamps about 3 days ago. So now you have to have discipline in spending your food stamps. So once that runs out, then what? Well, let's get into it. It's more prophecy. 2 Ezra chapter 15, verse 14. Woe to the world and them that dwell therein, for the sword and their destruction draweth nigh. Destruction coming. Destruction is coming. And the pawns are put in place. And one people shall stand up, fight against another, and swords in their hand. And that's what you call a race war, a class war. People fighting for their lives. Only the strong survive. Survival of the fittest. People's going to do whatever it takes and whatever by any means necessary to obtain that food, water, clothing, and shelter. Hey, and some people gotta, in the midst of war, some people gotta release some tension. They're gonna have to bust one off, and that's when you're gonna have your ravishing, coming forth at an all-time high. It says, verse 16, for there shall be sedition among men and invading one another. People rising up against the government. The government is shut down. So what? People's going to say, fuck what Donald Trump is talking about. Fuck what Pelosi is talking about. Look, I got to eat. I need money. I need these situations. I need my family taken care of. So they're not going to mind to what, the government is saying. That's where that sedition is going to come forth. It says, for there shall be sedition among men and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their action shall stand in their power. A man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able. Why? Because it's a state of emergency. Martial laws is implemented. It says, for because of their pride, the city shall be troubled. And this is why people are experiencing these harsh times, these perilous times, because of their pride. When the scriptures speak upon, once you develop pride, that's when you separate from your maker. And then the Lord, and these are the beginning, humble beginnings, I like to call it. These are the humble beginnings. The Lord knows how to humble a nigga and a bitch. It says, for because of their pride, the city shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor. Why? Because the love of many is going to wax cold. Here it is. They could have a neighbor that they said good morning to every day. But once they see them groceries coming in, oh, it's lunch. Breaking in. That's when the plotting and the scheming begins. Right? A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword. And spoil their goods, meaning what? Rob their goods. Because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation. Why is there a lack of bread? And we can mean that literally and figuratively. There's a lack of bread because, Jake, we got our terms. You know, we call money bread. And why would there be a lack of money? You know, because the government is shut down. Certain people are not able to work, you know. Even with Section 8, Section 8 is the next thing to get cut off. A lot of people, Jake, live on Section 8. You know, so a lot of Jake in the urban community that's living on Section 8, when that gets taken away from them, what's in turn going to happen? They're going to have nowhere to live, you know. And a lot of the landlords that got their, you know, their property with Section 8 housing, you know, they're going to lose money because they still got to pay those property tax. You know, so everybody's going to be fed up with this society at that point. And that's what's going to cause the heart of many to wax cold. You know, the love of many shall wax cold. You know, and a famine is also coming to this society. You know, that's going to be a lack of physical bread. You know, so what's that's going to in turn to do? Hey, whoever got food, whoever got some type of substance or necessity, what's going to happen? Great tribulation is coming, man. You know, there's going to be a lot of lives being lost, you know, and we up the Hopeful Elect are praying for it. We waiting on it. We're excited about it because these things have to happen in order for the kingdom of heaven to be established. You know, so Lord willing, this lesson was edifying unto the elect. The love of many shall wax cold. And that's all because of the iniquity that's abounding here on earth, man. It's not just a nationwide thing. There's tribulations happening all over the world, man. But America's that cherry on top. You know, so with that, I'd like to give all praises, glory, and honors to Yahweh Bashim Yahushua, Bashim Rakakodash. I'd like to give double honors to the apostles,